Penguin Random House Audio presents The Scam, a Fox and O'Hare novel by Janet Evanovich and Lee Goldberg. Read for you by Scott Brick. Chapter 1. Kate O'Hare bought her Ford Crown Vic at a police auction for abused cop cars. The dented, bondo-patched four-door beast wasn't the kind of ride that usually appealed to attractive, professional women in their early 30s. Of course, most of those women didn't accessorize their wardrobe with a Glock, an FBI badge, and a small belly scar from a knife fight with an assassin. Kate liked used cop cars because they were cheap, low maintenance, and had options that weren't available on a Prius. Options like Kevlar-lined doors that were great for cover in a gun battle, monster V8 engines that were perfect for high-speed chases, and steel ramming bars on the front grille that came in handy for pushing cars out of her way. She'd been heading north on the 405 freeway through the Sepulveda Pass when her boss, Special Agent in Charge Carl Jessup, called. Nicolas Fox, fugitive number 7 on the FBI's 10 most wanted list, was trying to make his way up to number 6. "I've been thinking that maybe it wasn't such a bright idea for us to help a world-class conman and thief escape from prison," Jessup said in his amiable Kentucky drawl. "And an even worse idea to give him access to the money we secretly plunder from bad guys and use to pay for our covert ops. Both Nick and $1 million of our money seem to be unaccounted for." "I'm sure there's an innocent explanation," Kate said. "There's nothing innocent about Nicolas Fox." Kate knew that better than anybody. She was the FBI agent who'd chased Nick for 5 years before she finally put him in prison. Unfortunately, to Kate's horror, Jessup and Deputy Director Fletcher Bolton had Fox back on the street in record time. They had a plan. Fox would work undercover for the FBI, and Kate would partner up with Fox to keep him honest. Together they were tasked with going after major league criminals who couldn't be caught through legal means. So Nick remained a major league criminal himself, secretly working for the FBI, and Kate remained a top FBI field agent, secretly working with an international fugitive. And that's why Kate was currently taking the curves on Sunset like it was the Talladega Superspeedway. She was hoping to catch Nick in his Sunset Strip penthouse. Technically, the penthouse wasn't Nick's. The IRS had seized it from a rapper who'd neglected to pay his taxes, and then the IRS had left it unoccupied pending sale. Nick had posed as the listing agent and quietly moved in. Thanks to rich tax cheats, Nick could always find a swanky place to stay that didn't require him to show a credit card or his face to a desk clerk. Kate skidded to a stop in front of the 15-story building, jumped out of her car, and ran to the locked lobby door. She rang all of the tenants, held her badge up to the security camera, and looked into the lens with as much authority as she could muster. "FBI, open up!" A tenant with a sense of civic duty and too much trust kindly buzzed the door open. Kate charged into the lobby only to come face to face with an out-of-order sign taped to the elevator. Just her luck. She dashed into the stairwell and sprinted up the stairs. In a training exercise, it had taken her and a dozen other elite military commandos in full assault gear 20 minutes to rush up to the 86th floor of the Empire State Building. Kate estimated it would take her 3 minutes to get up to the penthouse in her sensible shoes. Her cell phone rang between the 5th and 6th floor. Kate touched the Bluetooth device in her ear and answered the call as she climbed. "O'Hare," she said. "Where are you?" It was Megan, her younger sister. "Dad's waiting for you to take him to the airport." "I'm on my way." Their father, Jake, lived with Megan, her husband Roger, and their 2 grade-school-aged kids in a gated community in Calabasas. That was where Kate had been headed when she received the call from Jessup. "I told you 2 weeks ago that the kids have a big soccer game today, and it's our turn to pass out the sliced oranges at halftime," Megan said. "You promised me that you'd take him." "Relax, Megan. I'll be there." "Why are you huffing and puffing?" The stairwell began to rumble with the unmistakable sound of a helicopter closing in overhead. Kate felt a pang in her stomach. and it wasn't from the exertion of climbing 12 stories in 2 minutes. It was a powerful case of déjà vu and the dread that came with it. Kate had once chased Nick across a rooftop just as his accomplices were lifting off in a helicopter without him. As the chopper flew away, Nick had leapt off the building and grabbed onto a landing skid to make his triumphant escape. Her fear now was that he was going to try to repeat that death-defying performance. "I've got to go," Kate shouted to her sister, ending the call and taking the remaining flights 2 steps at a time, past the penthouse, and up to the rooftop. She burst out of the door to see a green helicopter embossed with a U.S. State Department seal idling on the roof. Nicolas Fox was running toward it, his suit jacket flaring like a cape. To Kate's relief, the helicopter pilot waited for Nick this time. Nick opened the door to the passenger cabin and turned to Kate as she ran up. There was a boyish grin on his face and a sparkle in his brown eyes. It was pretty much a confession that he was up to no good and enjoying it too much. He was wearing the kind of off-the-rack basic blue suit that Joseph A. Bank regularly sold 2 for the price of 1. It was very un-Nick-like. He was a stylish 6-foot-tall man with a keen and very expensive fashion sense. This suit made him look like an underpaid bureaucrat. She assumed that was the point. "Perfect timing," he yelled over the sound of the helicopter blades whirring above them. "I'm glad you could make it." Kate climbed into the chopper and took a seat. "Where are we going?" "Malibu." Nick secured the door and sat beside her. They slipped on microphone-equipped headsets so they could hear each other over the noise. Kate wasn't surprised to see Wilma Willie Owens in the pilot's seat. Willie was a 50-something bleached blonde with enhanced boobs that looked like basketballs with nipples. Her typical outfit was a halter top and Daisy Dukes, but today she wore aviator shades, a white shirt with epaulets, and crisp blue slacks. It was an outfit suitable for a licensed pilot, although she wasn't one. She was a Texan with a natural talent for operating any vehicle on land, sea, or air, and an unlawful tendency to steal them for joyrides. "Have you ever flown a helicopter?" Kate asked her. "Once or twice," Willie said. "Which is it?" "That depends, honey. Does this flight count?" Kate tightened her seatbelt and turned back to Nick. "We aren't going anywhere until you tell me why you're pretending to be a diplomat and what happened to our $1 million. Nick pressed a button on his headset that cut Willie off from the conversation. "Most of the money went into buying and repainting this chopper," Nick said. "The rest went to sending a lucky young man on an all-expenses-paid trip to the Caribbean. It was the grand prize in a contest he didn't even know that he'd entered. Or that he was the only contestant. You catch on quick. He's staying at a very exclusive, very remote island resort that bills itself as the true Gilligan's Island experience. No phone, no lights, no motor car, not a single luxury," Kate said, referencing the show's catchy theme song. "You're keeping him off the grid. Who are you hiding him from?" "His grandfather, Stuart Kelso, the king of the grandparent scam. Are you familiar with it?" "Yes. A grandparent gets an urgent email or phone call from an official with the terrible news that their grandchild has been arrested, robbed, or badly injured while traveling abroad. The fake official tricks the old and easily confused grandparent into wiring tens of thousands of dollars overseas to get the kid out of trouble." "That's the one. As fate would have it, Stuart Kelso was recently notified by the State Department that his grandson Ernie has been arrested in Cuba on a drug smuggling charge. The bail is $5 million. Ordinarily, he might not have fallen for his own con, but we had inside information about his grandson, and we landed a State Department helo on his front lawn." Nick grinned, and Kate tried her best not to grin. It was genius and well-deserved poetic justice, and it was totally illegal. It felt oh so right, but also oh so wrong. Much like her attraction to Nick. And the worst part was that he'd pulled it off under her nose. "Why didn't you tell me about this con until now?" she asked, eyes narrowed, blood pressure edging up a notch. It was just a lark, something to keep myself amused between jobs.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?